Welcome to Let's Grow Texas Ag, showcasing unique farm and ranch stories of the South Texas coastal plains. First-hand knowledge with special guests presented by our very own and well-known host, Joe Adams. Pull up a chair and enjoy as we share some of the heritage and insightful stories that have made us proud Texans. Let's Grow Texas Ag, sponsored by Shearer Kubota.
Welcome back to Let's Grow Texas Ag. Have you ever been in a spot that you said to yourself, man, I wish these trees could talk? Well, I doubt very seriously we get these trees to talk today. But we've got Miss Emily Bird here with us over here at Mission Espiritu Santo,
Yes.
right here in our own backyard, Goliad. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful. What a beautiful morning to be out here.
Usually is.
On such hallowed grounds.
Yes, absolutely.
It's such a big part of Texas history.
Yes.
You know, anybody in this part of the world that don't know anything about this stuff, man, it's something else. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so this is Mission Espiritu Santo. It was placed here in 1749. Its history dates back to about 1722 when it was first placed on the Garcitas Creek further towards the coast. So it was moved up to Mission Valley and then it was moved here. So it's been, kind of moving around a little bit, and each move had a purpose. So they moved away from the coast to Mission Valley to actually get away from kind of the harsh area of the coast.
Interesting thing, back in those days, Texas is still pretty wild.
Very wild, yes.
Texas is still pretty western out there.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people in our part of the country, they've all heard of the missions over here in Goliad and what a tremendous role they played in Texas history, and of course just Goliad in general.
Yeah.
But it's kind of fascinating to me that they started off at Garcitas Creek, then they moved to Mission Valley, and then they end up over here in Goliad County. So they, there was a lot of, I guess when the hurricanes and all that kind of stuff coming in there, I guess they just figured that Goliad's a little safer place to be.
Yeah, and so when they were moving from Mission Valley, the purpose for moving to this location was actually to move it onto El Camino Real. So it was called the King's Highway.
Yeah.
So the Mission Valley location was successful, but they moved it to give better access to the road. They were also trying to move more colonists up this way. So they were trying to populate further north into Spanish territory. So you can do that better if you're on the road. So they moved the mission to this spot, which ran right alongside El Camino Real. And this spot just hit all the marks. We're up on a hill, so this is good for defense. There's a rock quarry very close to this mission site, which, the mission needs a lot of stone.
Yeah.
So that was nice and convenient. But there's also a river that offers fresh water.
That's the San Antonio River?
Yes, the San Antonio River. So the river, they were hoping they could irrigate with that river, grow their crops. Unfortunately, it's a very difficult river. It's very steep banked, silty, it's kind of soft banked. So to build a dam that was needed to move all that water that far up and over the banks, they never could figure it out. So they had to shift their focus away from crops, but you still have to feed everybody.
Yeah.
So, if you don't have crops, what do you have? This mission was lucky enough to have a very healthy cattle population. So the cattle actually had started at Mission Valley, but it was this location that it really exploded.
I guess most of the cattle originally came from Spain, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Spanish Andalusian cattle, and then I guess kind of developed over the years into what we call the Texas Longhorns.
Yes, absolutely. It's one of my favorite stories.
Yeah, no, and it's so cool, and a lot of people may know it, and a lot of people may not know it, but this is basically kind of the birthplace of the cattle industry as we know it.
It sure is.
In Texas.
Yep, yes it is.
So, and I think at one time I had heard that the amount of acres that they ran cattle on was about the size of Delaware.
It's about between 1 million and 1.5 million acres.
That's pretty big.
Yeah.
That's pretty big.
And the mission lands from here all the way up to Floresville.
That's cool, and I think I'd heard somebody tell me one time that they almost ran all the way to the Guadalupe.
Yep, yeah, they did.
So that's a lot of country between the San Antonio River and the Guadalupe River and Floresville.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and the cattle that were on the land, they were all stray, feral cattle. So when the mission landed at Mission Valley, that was the beginning of their mission herd. So they had about 100 or so head of cattle. And with that they kind of expanded pretty quickly. So before they left Mission Valley, Espiritu Santo had already become the most important cattle ranch in Texas. So in 1735, they were considered to be the biggest. So they didn't hit here until 1749, and then it really ramped up sometime between 1760 and 1770. They were able to brand, they had about 3,000 branded around 1760. By 1770, they had 15,000 or more branded. The herd, though, itself is estimated to be at its peak 40,000 head.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of cattle.
That's a lot of cattle.
Yeah. So, and they had started out as black shorthorn cattle, kind of like the bullfighting cattle, your typical Spanish bull. On the feral plains out here, these cattle made themselves. So when you turn cattle out, they've got to figure it out. They have to defend their babies against predators. They have to find food and water and all these things. This is a very harsh environment. And back in those days, we had a lot more predators around here as well.
Yeah.
So, we have mountain lions and every now and then, some predators, but we had bears, we had wolves back then. So there were a lot more things that these cattle had to contend with. So the thorn scrub out here, it's also pretty tough to work through. So the cattle started to develop longer legs and longer horns, and they started to develop these adaptations.
Just to evolve into their surroundings.
Mm-hmm. They figured out how to
Mother
eat.
Nature at work.
Yep, exactly, yeah. So the Longhorn is the only breed of cattle that is not man-made. It's the only cattle that made themselves. All the ancestral cattle are extinct. So today, they're the only ones.
That's a pretty powerful statement there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crossbreeding in cattle industry today, and you can take this and cross with this and get that. But evolution itself,
it knows what to do.
That's kind of that's a very interesting deal. And one of the things it's one thing to have 40,000 head of cattle at one time, but it's another thing if you don't know how to handle them. So in a very real sense of the imagination, you had to learn how to gather them. You had to learn all kinds of stuff. So all of a sudden the birth of the vaquero and the cowboy and all that kind of stuff, it just starts out of evolution. You had to evolve into being able to handle them and get them to market. So it's a very interesting story.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the ranching techniques, those long lariats that were used, different tools and things were developed right here in this area. So this mission, being kind of the birthplace of Texas ranching, not kind of, it is.
It is, yeah. It's kind of, sort of, not really. Maybe it is.
It is. So, but it's a huge source of pride for us here. It's a fascinating story, to take a cow that's been, domesticated for so long, you turn it loose, it turns itself into this glorious thing. So the Longhorns, they realized, are so much hardier than the other breeds, and so at some point the Longhorn cattle were better for cattle drives. So when the trains came along, that was kind of the decline of Longhorns. But before trains, Longhorns would be able to make the long trips and be not just healthy, they would gain weight sometimes on those cattle drives that the other breeds wouldn't be able to handle.
Especially when they come out of this country and get into some of the grass country, moving north. I can see it. Isn't history fun?
Yes.
Isn't it fun? I can tell by the smile on your face that you absolutely love it.
Yep.
So, there's a lot of history right here where we're standing.
Yes.
You folks don't go nowhere. We're going to be back. Have you got time to take us on a little tour?
I sure do.
All right, we'll be back in just a minute on Let's Grow Texas Ag. And this thing was just kind of like a city in itself, wasn't it?
Yes, this
they self-supportive. They did everything.
Yeah. So the mission got some startup funds, and then Spain wanted to be hands off after that. They didn't want to put any more money into the missions, understandably so.
Yeah.
And so the missions were really expected to take care of themselves. This mission, because it couldn't grow crops, it did one thing really well, and that was the cattle. Yeah. So it started. The cattle became the mission's wealth. Anything that the mission needed, they could trade cattle or cattle products for it.
Absolutely.
And receive that back. So because the river was impossible to irrigate and they couldn't grow crops, they relied on that cattle herd as the trading source for the San Antonio mission. So they would trade cattle and cattle products with San Antonio missions and receive back the crops that San Antonio was so good at growing.
Yeah.
So they had an abundance. So with that trade, this mission had pretty much anything it needed.
Isn't it interesting the way stuff happens. You know, I mean, it's just kind of like the people that were here and starting in the cattle deal, if they only knew where the cattle industry would be today.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And how it's evolved into, you know, just, it's a huge economic deal in Texas.
Yeah, it sure is. And
Yeah.
it all started right.
It all started right here. And education's a big part of y'all's deal.
So education is really one of our biggest focus points here. You know, we want to bring this story to everybody, and that of course includes the school kids. So in Texas, we do Texas history in 4th and 7th grade. So that's the bulk of our school groups, our 4th or 7th graders. So they come here and they learn about the Spanish mission system. Our interpreters have a great time doing those tours.
Well, you know, and that's so important for young people to look. I know our kids went to St. Michael's, and St. Michael's brought them over here like in the 4th grade or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was always, and kids, it's so important that kids know the history
Yes.
of just about anything,
Yeah.
you know. But
They
this thing is so rich in history.
To see it right in front of your face, to be able to touch the walls, you know, it's so much better than learning in a classroom.
That's fourth graders from Hunt Elementary in Cuero. There you go. How many kids would come through here?
Oh
Like,
my gosh.
I mean, is it y'all do it every day that somebody wants to come, or is
It's
it
a lot of
scheduled
days.
event?
Yeah, they're all scheduled. We only have certain days of the week that we have enough staffing to offer these tours. And gosh, we probably do maybe about 8 a month in the spring, and I'd have to look back at our records.
Yeah,
but,
no, I mean, it's just, but how far off do kids come from in Texas?
Ooh, we've had them from the Dallas area, from West Texas. We have a group that comes down and they camp. We actually have a few groups that come down and they camp, but they're school groups who will come down and hang out for a while. There are some private schools who are able to set up some, longer things like that. So we've had some people from pretty far, but I think right now, just for a standard school tour, probably Dallas.
Yeah, and but it's something that every kid in Texas needs to go through this area.
Yes.
They need to understand what all has happened here.
Yeah, this is not only the birthplace of Texas cattle ranching, this is the birthplace of Texas culture.
Yeah.
This whole mixing pot area, Tejano and Anglo, everything coming together here, was really central to what it is to be Texan.
Yeah, and from the Spain sending ships over, coming in, and that's fascinating to me that their first was at Garcitas Creek, and then Mission Valley, and then they settled over here, and couldn't figure out how to irrigate, so the crops were out.
Yep.
But they turned the cattle industry into something, and back in those days it was all barter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah, it's a barter system. So I ain't got that, but I need that, but I got this, and you ain't got this, so we'll just do a little trading.
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
So
A lot of trades.
Yeah, a lot of trading.
In school you hit on a little bit, but when you come and see it for yourself, it's so much different. Just eye-opening, it's a different perspective. I think everybody needs to come and see it.
And I think that it's always interesting to me that where we're walking right here, it all happened back in the mid-1700s. There was a lot going on here.
Yeah.
And we're walking on the same ground.
We absolutely are. And if you imagine, standing here, as we look out, we can see the tops of trees.
Yeah.
There weren't that many trees back then. You could see straight to the Presidio from here. But if you imagine that the grassland, so the grass was up to the horses' bellies.
Yeah.
And so I love to sit and just imagine all this being tall grasses.
Coastal plains kind of stuff. Yeah.
And how beautiful it would have been.
Did you know? Over 1,200 farms incorporate nearly 380,000 acres of land in Goliad County.
Well, we're kind of right back where we started from on the other side of Texas historical marker. Says what?
So this is talking about kind of the beginnings of this mission. And it's, of course, back splashed here by our Spanish dagger. This is one of our best examples of one, but an incredible plant. So much use for the native people. This is kind of a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's one of the things on this historical marker says. At its peak of success, the mission possessed huge herds of cattle and supplied settlements in Mexico as well as missions in present Texas.
Huge part of this mission's history right there.
Yeah, and it's kind of, they were very vital in providing a lot of missions and a lot of people something to eat.
Yeah, you know, the San Antonio missions, they did have some cattle. They didn't have the cattle like this mission did. Yeah. And then after...
Hi, how are y'all?
Hello.
Fine, where are y'all from?
Georgia.
Georgia. Joe Adams.
Lori Williams.
Lori Williams. It's Miss Emily Bird.
Hello.
How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Van Williams.
Van Williams, Joe Adams, Miss Emily Bird.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
We're sitting out here and y'all come all the way from Georgia.
Sure did.
How come?
Well, I'm originally from Bryan, and my parents live out here, and so we brought the camper out. We do every spring, bring the camper out and look at the flowers and what have you. So
What brings you here today?
today, the mission.
The mission.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it something?
It is. It's beautiful.
I want to tell you one thing. It's one of those places that the only thing you need to do is just be real still, and the history will drip all over you.
Yes.
It's
Most
crazy.
people don't realize the history goes that far back here.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
What happened here 300 years ago happened between George Washington and the British 300 years ago, the other part of the country.
Yeah. A lot rich in history, and what a lot of people don't really realize that this mission right here at one time ran as many as 40,000 head of cattle.
Oh, wow. That is amazing.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, this is the first big cattle ranch in Texas. It's right here.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot of brisket.
It's a lot of brisket.
Sure
And a
is.
lot of it, you know, it derived from the old Spanish Andalusian cattle that came over from Spain.
Yep.
And just through, in the conversation with Miss Emily earlier, it's interesting how through evolution, those cattle in the much harsher area they started developing the Longhorns, and then the Texas Longhorn as we know them today came from this herd of cattle.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, it's just like, man,
Yeah.
it's just you can dive off in that deal and stay there all day long. So you know,
I feel like the Longhorn is so indicative of Texas. You know, it's the only breed that made itself, and I feel like, you know,
she brought
kind
that
of
up
are
a while
too.
ago, and we're involved very much in the cattle business, and we breed all different kinds of, like Brahman cattle and crossbred cattle and all that. But you're making them
Wow.
through selective breeding,
Yes.
and in this deal here, the Texas Longhorns evolved into themselves
Yes.
without the introduction of anything else.
So it's a better breed for this environment. That may seem to be
Well, I
hotter
mean,
and
you know,
drier
it's just
right
like
here.
back in those days, it just, yeah, they had a lot of wide open country and wild country, and they grew their own. They had their own swords.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they learned
Yeah.
how to fight with that.
Yes.
and they
So-
would gather the young behind them, you know, get in a kind of defensive circle. You see it a lot today still in like water buffalo, you know, elephants, all those.
Oh, yeah.
So they started doing that. They developed those long legs, that lean physique, the ability to eat just about anything around here and get the moisture and nutrition out of it. They're just lean, mean machines.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and that lean beef is actually where they're kind of starting to make a comeback now. But they had actually fallen out of favor once the railroads came along, because so the Longhorns were preferred on the cattle drives because they were one of the very few that would not just survive, but they would thrive on those cattle drives. Once you started introducing railroads, then it's harder to pack a Longhorn into a car.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
now you've got this, mass transportation of these cattle that don't have to make the trip anymore. But the Longhorn was leaner beef. And so back then with the railroads, people weren't looking for leaner beef. They wanted that fattier, that flavor. But now we're starting to kind of drift back. Oh, some of us are preferring the leaner beef. So Longhorns are starting to kind of make a
Not
comeback.
me.
What's
First
the
thing I look
temperament?
for when I get to Texas is that brisket. The old gas station turned into a smokehouse.
Yeah.
In Georgia, we do some beef, but it's pork and chicken.
Oh, yeah.
But so as soon as we cross over here, I want that brisket sandwich. And fortunately, on the way home, we'll go back through southern Louisiana, and they know how to cook over there too.
Oh, yeah. Tell you one thing.
What's the temperament of a Longhorn? Are they kind of like your Brahmas, Brahmers, or is it just like any other cow? Any idea?
I think
Well, historically, they were not easy to work. And they were they're pretty feral, they were pretty wild. You had some, the old bulls, they didn't have steers, so they had, the old bulls would duck off into the brush, and they were nearly impossible to work with. But they had to have really long lariats and other tools to try to work that cattle. I'm not so sure about today if they've kind of.
yeah, they're not.
Yeah.
They respond to how you handle them.
Okay.
Back in these days, back in here, they were just kind of, how big old boy are you?
Yeah.
And I mean, everybody's out there taking care of themselves. They just trying to survive.
Right.
So it was kind of it could be a little bit touchy, but it's like a lot of the Brahman cattle and the Angus, Hereford, Charolais, whatever's around, they've all got their moments, but they all respond to the way you treat them as well.
Yeah.
So, well, it's very much a pleasure to see y'all.
You as well. And
Glad y'all-
Nice to
Yes,
meet
sir.
you as well. Thank you so
Bye,
much.
Miss Emily.
Bye. Y'all have a great time.
Hey.
Thanks so much for
Take
coming
care.
by.
All right, well, I think that's going to tie a knot in it.
Yeah.
That's always fun to watch, to talk to people that come
Oh,
that,
yes.
that just enjoy the history part of this
Yeah,
deal.
it's the best part of my job by far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Well, you've been very much a pleasure today, Miss
Well,
Emily.
thank
We
you so
appreciate
much.
very much your time.
You're very welcome. Thank
and
you.
we want to welcome everybody to come out here and take advantage of some of the treasures in our part of the country, in our neck of the woods.
Yes, please.
Come over and get with Miss Emily and she'll show you all about it. We'll see y'all next time on Let's Grow Texas Ag.
Maybe you know someone that should be highlighted on our program. Let us know. Submit your story ideas to crossroadstoday.com/ag.
Hey, if you're planning a trip and you're headed down 183 South coming out of Goliad headed towards Santo, you need to plan that trip Thursday through Sunday. You need to stop by one of the old mainstay restaurants right here in Goliad County, the La Bahia restaurant. Let's go in there and find Mr. Julio Durantes. He's the proprietor of this establishment. Let's visit with him a little bit, just like I remembered it. You might find Julio just about all over the country, but he just kind of goes, he's a hard fella to get him strapped down. I bet old Julio's back here, isn't he?
Okay.
Julio!
Hey, what's
man.
going on, cowboy?
What's going on,
How
brother?
you doing? How you doing?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful.
All right. Welcome.
Mr. Julio,
welcome.
he is the proprietor of this establishment right
That's
out here
right,
at the old
that's
La
right.
Bahia restaurant. Man, so good for you to have a little time to visit with us a
Yes,
little
sir.
bit.
Yes, sir.
We kind of wanted to highlight the La Bahia restaurant for a couple of reasons. I remembered as a kid coming through here and eating lots of time. This place has been in business a long time.
Long time. I think insurance paperwork says 1956. If I'm mistaken. So we've been around quite some time.
Yeah, well, I'm a product of 1959, so that's 66.
Oh, man.
So this place has been around about 69 years.
Yeah. Got about the same age, right?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think you're kind of doing a little research on this, visiting with some folks. Your family was kind of tied to the restaurant.
So my father, his dad passed away when he was young. So the original owners, E.G. Rubio and Ronnie, took him in. And so he grew up running around here and worked here as a team. Went and been a pipe fitter. And then maybe 13 years ago, decided to reopen again. So
Got to come back to where he started.
yes, sir.
Well, I can tell you one thing. We came in here and we had lunch today.
How was that?
Oh, it was absolutely wonderful.
right,
I had that ribeye steak, the wait staff,
Yes.
the cooks, compliments to everybody in this place.
Well,
Y'all did a great job.
Southern hospitality, we try our best and hopefully things come out right.
Well, I guarantee it came out right today. appreciate you taking time to
Yes, sir.
visit with us just
Thank
a
y'all
little
for
bit.
coming out.
You betcha.
And y'all are always welcome.
Well,
Everyone's welcome here at La Bahia
I
Restaurant.
appreciate that. And don't forget, if you're headed on 183 South, headed towards
right
Santon, look right over here to the left. Find the La Bahia Restaurant and Cantina. You got cold beer too.
We got some cold beer.
You know,
Let's
I
go.
believe let's me and you go grab a
Oh,
cold
thank
beer,
you.
huh?
Yeah, we need to do that.
We need to do that.
All right.
We'll see y'all next time on
Bye-bye.
Let's Grow Texas Ag.
You've been watching Let's Grow Texas Ag. Visit our website for more information and program schedules.